I've been wanting to get my hands on some over-ear headphones from JBL just to see what they're all about. These are the JBL 770 NC and they seem quite promising. Thank you to JBL India for making this review possible by sending me a demo unit. All thoughts and opinions are my own. So let's jump straight into how these are built. JBL has stuck to a simple and straight to the point unboxing experience. You get the headphones, a soft cloth carry pouch, a charging cable I wish was longer than this, an auxiliary cable and the literature. The cable is a well-made one with a fabric to protect it, so I can see it lasting a long time. It's terminated to a 3.5mm jack on both ends, and these headphones automatically switch off their Bluetooth if it's on when the cable is connected. The headphones are beautifully made with a fabric headband which I've only seen on very premium headphones in the past. The band is adjustable and slots into grooves for different sizing. The Live brand is mentioned on the base of the headband. The housings have a matte black finish. There's a metallic finished paint used for the ring around the housing, and the JBL logo also shares the same finish. The left cup has a USB Type-C female connector for whenever you want to charge it up, and the right cup has the female auxiliary cable slot, an ANC toggle button which cycles through those modes, a Bluetooth sync button, a volume up and down button, a play and pause button, and a slider for switching these on or off. I really like the fact that JBL has kept tactile buttons on these, but for those of you who prefer touch controls, this has that on the right cup which works quite well with soft taps. This does have a notification light near the USB-C charging point to let you know its battery levels. There's one more on the power slider which glows blue when the headphones are switched on and when it's searching to connect to a device, and it goes off once it's connected. There's one more light near the ANC button which glows white when it's on ANC mode or ambient aware mode. It goes off when these modes are switched off. The ear pads are a soft over-ear set which have a good amount of pressure around the ear, and at no point does it feel like the headband is too high in tension. These sit just right for me. The cups fold inward, so are perfect for when you want to travel, since this will turn inward and rest on your collar. If you like resting these pads down on a desk, you're out of luck. But thanks to the fact that these fold, they're easy to collapse and put into the soft cloth bag JBL has provided with them, making them easy to travel with. This comes with Bluetooth version 5.3, has multi-point connectivity. You do get tactile buttons but also touch controls, and you can control the finer aspect of these headphones via the JBL Headphones app. You have access to the ambient sound controls which has the active noise cancelling. You can go into the custom ANC options to have the adaptive ANC on or switch it off to give you 7 levels of control, and you can choose to switch on the leakage compensation setting. Then you can switch on the ambient aware feature which will let your surroundings bleed in so you're more aware. These can be used during walks or runs in public spaces so you're aware of what's around you. And you can also adjust the amount of ambience you let in with 7 levels. Then you can use talk through mode which will reduce your media's volume and let in vocals of people near you so you can hold a conversation with them. Below that you get a personify option which is essentially a hearing test you have to do in a quiet environment. It will see how sharp your ears are and compensate for any frequencies you may be lacking. It's a nice way to introduce richness back into your listening if you have hearing loss. You can also choose to have this on or off after you've done your test. You get an EQ mode which has presets, and you can also customize an EQ. I'll talk about this in the chapter about sound. A very interesting feature JBL has added is the low volume dynamic EQ, which boosts lower and higher frequencies so you don't have to crank your volume too high to get a balanced sound. This is a good way to avoid listening to loud music. Then you get spatial audio options for movies, music and games. Each of these sound a little bit different from one another and are fun to listen to when you're absorbing these different forms of media. It does help with being a little more immersive. Then you get gesture controls. The action button for ANC will let you toggle through the ANC, ambient aware and off modes with a single press, whereas a double press will let you toggle between having talk through mode on or off. The touch panel lets you control the playback and voice assistant controls. A single tap will let you play and pause your music and dismiss voice assistant while activating. A double tap will skip to the next track. A triple tap will skip to the previous track, and a tap and hold will activate your native voice assistant. To handle calls, a double tap will answer a call or hang up a call you're on, and a tap and hold will reject an incoming call or mute and unmute your microphone during a call. The other tactile buttons are dedicated to playing and pausing your music and increasing and reducing the volumes. Then you get a voice aware feature which you can use for your phone calls if you prefer hearing your voice played back to you. You can control the intensity of it, and while it's on during a call, your ANC is temporarily disengaged. Then you get JBL's smart audio and video. With it on, audio plays a higher bitrate for audio consumption, and when it's on, on with video. The latency reduces for video and gaming consumption. Below it, you get an auto play and pause option, which I thought was some sort of a glitch in the app because I don't see any proximity sensors in the ear cups. But it works quite well. I've left it on just because it feels like it works like magic. Then you get a personal sound amplification section, which lets in your surroundings much like ambient aware. But it's a little bit different because you can choose how much noise you let in, and you can decide to let in the noise more from one side or from both left and right sides. I can see this working well in an office environment when you need to hold a conversation with someone on a specific side of the room. It works well, and it's something I've never seen before. Then you get a left and right sound balance, which you can adjust more towards the left or to the right. This will benefit somebody who's got a little bit of hearing loss in one ear, so this will help you balance out your phantom channel. You get a voice assistant section, which lets you choose from Google Assistant, Amazon Alexa, or your native voice assistant. You can choose to have your voice prompts off or on, and you can choose a different language for them. Then you can choose to cap your maximum volume limiter at 85 decibels. If you've got your low volume dynamic EQ on, I don't think you'll be coming anywhere near this volume. You have an auto power off control you can set to 30 minutes, 1 hour or 2 hours. You have a support tab which will give you access to a manual and let you reset or set up your headphones. The multi-device connectivity works fairly flawlessly because whenever you're connected to two devices, and let's say if you're on your secondary device and you do get a phone call on your primary device, it latches onto it almost instantly, so you are not going to miss any phone calls. But when you are consuming media and you want to switch from, let's say, your primary to secondary device, you have to pause the media on your primary and then play it on the secondary. So then it starts handing over the audio, and you have to do this vice versa. The smart video does reduce the latency a bit, especially when you're consuming videos or you're gaming. So if you are an avid gamer, you might want to use this feature in particular. So when you're using it, when it's off, these headphones have a response time of 120 milliseconds, whereas when you switch it on, it does have a very respectable response time of 70 milliseconds. Now, you can tell there is a significant jump and improvement in the latency when you switch it on. So instead of me rambling on about how this does with numbers, here's a quick demo to show you how it performs with games as well as with videos.
Connected.
I also like the fact that both of these are so sensitive to being opened, because you just slightly tap on the lid and both of them pop up and are ready to go. So I do expect the Tune Beam also to not give trouble over time. And the other thing I do like about this is the fact that they've used Bluetooth version 5.3, which is quite efficient.
Connected.
And of course, when JBL does launch that LC3 codec, it will be using a slower bitrate, but without compromising the audio quality. And this, I think, will also ensure that you get even longer battery life. When it comes to the active noise cancelling, they are good performers because, first of all, the isolation you get with these earpads is actually pretty good. It does isolate a lot of noise by itself, and then once you switch the active noise cancelling on, and if it's in a manual mode, you can toggle between 7 different levels, or you can leave it on adaptive, which does check the noise around you and adapt accordingly. And one thing I do like about this is that I didn't feel any sense of pressure when the active noise cancelling was on, and I've not felt nauseous at all. But instead of rambling on about how the active noise cancelling is, let me show you a quick demo as to how this would perform.
Noise cancelling. Ambient aware. Ambient sound control off. Noise cancelling. Noise cancelling. Sound control off. Noise cancelling.
The same mics that handle the active noise cancelling also contribute towards helping with the environmental noise cancelling to help isolate your voice over the noise around you when you have any phone calls you want to take. So if you do want to see how your voice would carry over to your recipient in a busy setting, there really is only one way to find out. I'm calling you from the usual busy street I do all of my call tests from, just to give you a sense of how much noise these headphones are going to be battling. So as you can see, there's a whole lot of two-wheelers, four-wheelers, and you will get the occasional truck, and it might blow a pressure horn. So I hope I don't hear that while I'm in the ambient aware mode. And of course there is some construction work going on over my left shoulder. So I have been on the camera microphone all this time, so you get a sense of how much these headphones are going to be battling with when it comes to the environmental noise cancelling. And I'll switch over to the headphones microphone right about now. So this is the audio tonality you can expect for these to carry your voice over to your recipient, and this is of course a lot to deal with, and these will do significantly better in a more controlled environment. So if you're using these in your home or office, it's bound to do a lot better, because right now it's trying to suppress all of the noise and isolate my voice over that and carry it over to you. So what I do is during these contests is I toggle between some of the ANC modes to see if it does add a little pressure on the algorithm and see if there is any change in vocal tonality. But right now you're sitting in the reviewer seat, so you can decide whether or not it does that, because after all, you have to decide whether or not you'd like your voice carried over this way. So I'll head on over to the JBL Headphones app, and as you can see, I'm right now in the active noise cancelling. And when in a call, you can't go into the customize ANC option. So I'll switch over to the ambient aware mode now. So I can hear a lot of what's coming in, and when I toggle this bar to the maximum, I can hear a lot more coming in, and I'll swipe it all the way down, and it does suppress a lot of the noise that is coming in, but I can still hear it because it's on the minimum level. You cannot go onto the talk to mode when you're in a voice call. So what I'll do now is see the active noise cancelling for me is much more pleasant over here than using the ambient aware because of the amount of noise. So what I like that JBL is included is something called voice aware. So when you switch this on, it tends to play back your voice to you. So in real time, because a lot of people don't like that isolation where they can't hear their own voice coming to them naturally. So through this voice aware feature, you can have it on, and you can toggle between low, mid, and high as well whenever you're on a phone call. When this is on, it does bypass your active noise cancelling. So I can, all the mid frequencies that are coming to me through my voice, I can also hear coming from the traffic as well. So I'm going to put that off for now, so it swaps back onto the active noise cancelling mode, because this is of course a lot more pleasant for me when I'm in such a noisy environment. So this has been the sound demo for the JBL Live 770 NC, and I do hope that it's given you a better understanding of these headphones. And of course, I will see you back at the studio. This comes with 40mm dynamic drivers, and it supports SBC and AAC codecs. Later this year, they will be introducing the LC3 codec, which will be an interesting codec to check out. It has a frequency response of 20 Hz all the way up to 20,000 Hz, and when you use it on its cable mode, it has a frequency response of 20 Hz all the way up to 40,000 Hz, and it also has a very easy to drive resistance of just 32 ohms. On a volume front, I've been listening to these at about 50% volume, because going beyond that can get a little too loud for me. So if you want to preserve your hearing in the long run, I wouldn't recommend listening to this anywhere beyond 60 or 65% volume. This does tend to thin out a lot at lower volumes, which you can expect from a lot of audio gear, but JBL has introduced a very interesting feature within the app, which is called the low volume dynamic EQ, which boosts the highs and the lows to a certain extent even at lower volumes. So because your music sounds so rounded and so full even at lower volumes, I think a lot of people won't have to crank the music up way higher to get that balanced feel. And in the long run, this will help in preserving your hearing. Soundstage in these exists within a bubble in your head like most other closed back headphones. It does have good left and right separation and a dead center phantom channel. JBL has included spatial audio within the app which you can switch on, and you can toggle between movies, music as well as gaming. Now each of these modes are tuned slightly differently and they do contribute towards making your experience a little more immersive if you like a slightly wider stage. Imaging from this is surprisingly crisp and it is easy enough to zone in onto certain nuances and enjoy it within your music. Things can get a little more interesting when you decide to use this via its cabled mode and when you connect to a proper DAC amp, because the resolution of things you're listening to, provided you have a high-res source, does get much better. There's better detail in your music overall via the cable. High frequencies stay clear of being elevated and come at you with ease. There's no sense of over enthusiasm here in this range. Rather, the highs are brought to you in a supple manner. This range hasn't been tuned to offend in any way and comes across with good definition and energy. It's able to handle this range quite effortlessly, especially with acoustic music, and it does have reasonably good timbre. Listening to Fleetwood Mac perform Landslide, the soft plucking of the guitar is brought to you in a soft and soothing sense, almost with the intent of wanting you to let your cares fade away. There's no sibilance here and it's quite easy on the ears, so you're going to be able to listen to this range for hours on end, even when traveling without any fatigue. Mid frequencies are a little more forward than I thought they would be, but this does give you a slightly more intimate stage when listening to solo vocalists. There is good separation between instruments and vocals, which will assist you with focusing on certain nuances in your music. The separation I wasn't expecting these to have does exist within the vocal range. You're able to zone in on various vocals, which is usually something I'd expect from higher end headphones. The lower mids are thankfully not pulled too far down, which ensures a more rounded vocal and instrument presentation. Listening to Kian Ducrot perform I'll Be Waiting, the choir version, there's a small amount of decay in the background as if this has been recorded in a large empty hall. Every bit of that detail can be heard through these headphones, and when the choir kicks in, there's a clear separation between him and them, allowing you to appreciate all the different pitches the choir is contributing to in this pretty piece of music. Low frequencies are not really tuned to vibrate the earwax out of your ears, at least not in their tuning state straight out of the box. The bass is controlled, but you can tell these are wanting to open up and push a little harder and have a little more fun with dance music. I like how it's tuned out of the box since it's more balanced in this range and doesn't absorb the mids and highs. It does have good structure as well as good extension into the sub-low registers, but it's almost begging to have more bass, which JBL thankfully lets you do via their app. Listening to one of my all-time favorites, Cafe de Flore by Dr. Rocket. These headphones take on a personality which does seem almost as if it's wanting to break out of an introverted persona and come alive. The bass is energetic and fun to listen to with multiple genres of music. It handles acoustic instruments without much effort but tends to come into its own when you play back anything EDM. I've tested these without any EQs on as they are straight out of the box, but JBL does give you the option to choose between a few presets, which are Jazz, which elevates the highs, bass and sub-bass regions. This does bring a little more life into acoustic music, and if you use this for EDM, these can sound like a considerably more premium set of headphones. And surprisingly, the bass still doesn't eat into the mids and highs much. Then you get Vocal, which thins everything out a bit since it only elevates the mid-range and reduces the highs and lows. This works great for audiobooks and podcasts. Then you get Bass, which tends to get a little too obnoxious for my liking. Your mids and highs can say bye-bye with this preset since it only focuses on loosening up some earwax. It does add a lot more weight to the bass here. Then you get Club, which boosts the highs and lows slightly with an emphasis on the sub-lows and high highs, which can enhance richness in your music and add a good amount of rumble too. This will work really well for any action movie consumption. Then you get Studio, which gets flatter than a second-hand set of tires from the 90s. This EQ will most likely be appreciated by the individual who doesn't care much for bass, but having said that, the bass does sound prominent enough to enjoy with good audio recordings. Then you get Extreme Bass. I didn't think this could push out any more bass than the bass preset, but this preset is just too much for my liking. Always listening to this preset can cause listening fatigue over longer listening sessions. It'll be fun for a few minutes, but these do make these headphones seem much bigger sounding. You also get a manual EQ you can tune, and you're not restricted by a certain amount of bands to tune. You can add as many as you can fit, and you can tune these from 32Hz all the way up to 16,000 Hz, giving you a really good amount of control for a custom sound. When it comes to listening to these through a high-res source, they suddenly develop a sense of having more headroom, which which in fact it does, because the overall frequency response does increase significantly. So other things get they get tighter, they get better defined, things get a lot more effortless in its overall presentation. This is of course provided you do have a good high-res source and some good hardware as well. These tend to be on the bass heavy side when the ANC is on, so I prefer having it off when listening through the cable for a more balanced sound. My desk or portable setup is obviously overkill for a set of headphones like this, but it's clear that these drivers can handle more than what you throw at them when they're in their wireless form. Perhaps a simpler portable DAC amp is the way to go with this set of headphones if you prefer listening to high-res audio. So to sum up, on a build front, I think these are put together really well. I do like the overall finish of it, the metallic paint along with the matte finished cups. It does look quite nice. But what really sets it apart is that fabric headband. I really have only seen this on much higher end set of headphones. So sometimes when I'm handling them, I tend to forget that they cost as much as they do. But these are very well put together. These do have a nice clamping force when you wear them over your head and over your ears. It's not too tight and it's not too loose. I have used some headphones that aren't tight enough on the head, so those can tend to feel like they'll fall off, whereas I think if you wear this, they'll be more than comfortable enough to go out with on runs, because it does hold your head tightly enough and it won't shift around. The ear pads on these are soft and comfortable. They're almost like having miniature pillows. I think if I'm being realistic about it, if you tend to use these in hotter months and if you don't have air conditioning at home, you will start feeling some sense of sweating on the inside of the ear cups, because that just is the nature of wearing headphones, especially when they're closed. These are very easy to adjust. If you need the cups to fall down a little lower, you can just pull it slightly while pushing the headband with your finger. It's very simple to operate. And the other nice thing is that it can collapse to a fairly smaller form factor, because the ear cups do fold in and then they can pivot inwards as well. And of course, JBL has given a nice little carry pouch, so it's easy to toss into your backpack and carry with you while you're traveling. On a feature front, it's absolutely loaded. I think it's got everything you need. In fact, the one thing that I still can't get over is that automatic play and pause, because I have used some headphones in the past that have a sensor that you can see. With this one, you can't see a sensor anywhere. So I really don't know how JBL has done it, but it's been working flawlessly ever since I've discovered it. The JBL Headphones app is absolutely amazing because it's loaded with features. In fact, I think my longest chapter in this video might just be features, and it's normally the sound, because there's just so much going on in the feature list. The one thing that I genuinely do like is that dynamic low volume EQ, because this is something that I think a lot of people don't have, and they crank up the volume on their earphones or headphones to try and listen to a balanced sound. So doing that usually exposes the ears to very high volumes, and it can damage your hearing in the long run. This is a certain fix for that, because I found myself listening to music with these at very low volumes. There was no need to crank it up. So it's nice to see that JBL is taking this route. When it comes to the active noise cancelling, I really don't have any complaints because it works very well. In fact, the isolation itself does a pretty good job. I found myself putting the ANC off at times, especially when it's quiet at night. There's no real need for the active noise cancelling. So it works very well. Droning sounds from fans and ACs and vehicles nearby, it does tend to dull down fairly well, and it doesn't create that suction or discomfort and cause any nausea. So that's definitely a good thing to have. On a sound front, I found myself really liking how these sound out of the box, not using any presets or EQs. In fact, the detail and crispness in this, I was pretty surprised that it's as fine as it is, because vocal isolation when there are multiple voices, when there's a choir, a lot of headphones can't do that very cleanly. There's always a merge, there's always a bit of muddiness in that area. It sort of seems to trip over itself, but not with these. The specific track I mentioned in the midsection, you are able to segregate these vocals very easily, which is very impressive from these headphones. I have enjoyed listening to these headphones when I'm listening to any high-res audio, but something I have noticed is when you switch everything absolutely off, you put the headphones off and you're just driving the drivers through your hardware, it goes completely flat. In fact, it goes to the point where I don't think a lot of people will enjoy it. The magic is when the headphones are on, because it has something, the JBL tuning exists when the headphones are on. So you might see a difference in volume output with the headphones on and headphones off while it's in cable, but the way they've tuned it when it's on is so much more enjoyable than just listening to a flat signature. So how much do these headphones cost? Well, at the time of recording this video, these have a selling price of 12,999, and you can avail a 10% festive discount at the point of payment gateway by using a credit card, debit card, or EMI transaction. And if you would like a further 10% discount, JBL has been kind enough to send me a discount coupon, which I'll mention over here and leave down in the description as well. It is a JBL X PAULPOV, which it'll have to be applied at the time of checkout on their website. And this code can also be used for the Tune series of JBL products. So is it value for money? Well, I'd say considering it's so loaded with features, it's fun to listen to, it's good fun to operate. The fact that it's got tactile buttons as well as touch controls, I like that they've thought about all of that, because I myself like using tactile buttons on headphones. So these are the small things that usually give a certain product that much more value. And overall on a sound front, it's good fun to listen to. I can see this being a good companion for anyone who's traveling, or even if you just want to sit and listen to music at home. So there you have it. That's everything you needed to know about the JBL 770NC, and I do hope that you found this video helpful and informative. And if you would like to help the channel, I'm sure you know exactly how to. But of course, thank you for tuning into Paul's POV for some sound advice.